Get out driving this thing around a little bit. Transmission working good. Glad to see it. I'm gonna drive around this weekend probably a little bit before I let him get it back. I just want to make sure this thing's 100% because I don't like comebacks and stuff like that bothers me. So I've always, I don't like stuff. I like, when I fix stuff, I like it, if it comes back, I like to come back for another problem, not the same issue or something like that. So the plan is, I'm gonna drive this thing around this weekend, see how it does, enjoy old Grandpa Mac's Ford Ranger a little bit before I give it back to him. We'll see. Like I said, transmission's doing good, so I'm happy with it. Transmission is solid. So it had a check engine light in it. I checked for some vacuum leaks earlier, didn't find nothing, but for some reason it ain't come back on. So drive around, just make sure it's good for him. If I ever get YouTube famous and make enough money, this would be the car I'd have right here. Look at that thing, son. It's the only one with a Ford motor, and I'd tear it on right there. So come to O'Reilly's. Got some paint for the mini bike. Got some aluminum paint bolt heads. Got some 1K clear. Got a fluorescent orange. So we'll see what that looks like on the mini bike frame. Figure it's about 7:30 on Friday night. I figured it'd be better off to, instead of just sitting around, I get the little mini bike out and sand it down, go ahead and start painting it and getting it looking good. Ride with me. So here's what we're starting with. The paint's chipping, so we got to go in here. We got to clean all this up. I pressure washed it the other day. It was real dirty. I got to weld this hole up because somebody used to have a gas tank on it. So I'm going to weld that up, grind it. There's a little spot right here. I dented it, trying to get that piece off. I'm going to weld it up. This motor used to be mounted this way because the clutch used to be, it used to be out here on the end. So this thing used to be offset. I got to re-drill the bolt holes because this is just mounted out here temporarily because I got the clutch off the other day. I accidentally cut a hole in the cover. So I had to repair the cover. I got my new header at the house. I got to make the chain in line, get all that stuff lined up. Probably going to cut the kickstand off of it. I'm thinking about lowering the back of this thing down and make it where when it's just sitting here, it does, you can just lay it over. So I'm thinking about lowering the back of the bike down. Might even lower the front, but it looks to me like the back's up in there, so I might just cut them brackets off, flip them over, weld them back on, get this thing sitting kind of low, like I like stuff, and make it where when it tilts over, you can just set it on the side. You ain't got to have a kickstand. You can just leave it like that, but it'll have to be lower first. And I got to fix that. All right, so let me, before I do anything, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to wire wheel all these bolts that are rusted so that way I can clear coat them. Paint them in clear coat before I take them off. But I'm going to disassemble the whole thing and then we're going to make it look a little bit better. Ride with me. So I cut it off down here, moved it up here, so now I didn't need that chain adjuster that used to be here. So the chain used to go down so deep. So you used to have a little adjuster so the chain wouldn't rub the frame here. I got rid of it, I got rid of the kickstand, cleaned it up. I gotta go through and start stripping the paint down, or stripping the powder coat off this frame so I can go through and do it. But this is kind of how I wanted it set up. That way when I ride it, when I want to get off of it, I have to get off. Look at that, bam. It just lay itself over on its side either direction. But then when I ride it, now that bottom bar is a lot more level. It'll look pretty cool. All right, we got it stripped down. For the most part, I'm gonna throw some primer on it and we're gonna paint it. Not too bad. Then we gotta paint all that individual stuff there and start putting it back together. Touch up the forks, touched up the handlebars a little bit, painted the back sprocket, and that letting it all dry out. Painted the bolts. We got the frame back here we painting. I started doing this orange. This orange right here is so thin that it don't cover good. Just won't cover good. So we ended up doing it hammer like my the front end of my car and all that. And then I cleared over it. So I think it looked pretty good. We get it back together. Let's let it dry and then we'll start assembling it. So, don't knock the motor off. So I got mounted the motor. So Kaidyn and Nikki went and picked this up for me.
How'd you put the header pipe on?
So I just stuck it on there so I could mount the motor, son.
You gonna put it on that one?
So no, I just bought it just to put it on that Ragley motor there that we're never going to use. So
is that the new brakes?
We got the 224 is what I ended up buying, which is it's a 212 with a stroker crank. Looks like it comes with some jets, so I'll have to check that out for the carburetor. Let's go and unbox this thing right here.
What motor
We see it on the side.
What?
But anyways, here's
I'm a good racer, right?
Here's the paperwork. Here's the paperwork on it, so I'll have to read through that about the jets on it. We got you going, son. Just lay it. Look, that piece of yellow piece.
Bloopers of Sammy Page.
Look, that yellow piece right there goes underneath it. Just stick that yellow level underneath. Now what? Now lay it over. So I get the motor mounted. So here's the 224. Hopefully the gas tank ain't bigger. If not, I'll have to put the gas tank off another one on it. Oh look, you can come with a funnel.
They have it on sale today.
What's the funnel for? Put oil in something?
To put oil in it. Hold that. Hold the funnel.
That's awesome.
Let's unbox it. Physically, it's the same motor as the 224. It just or the 212. It just has a stroker crank. Looks like the side cover on it is looks like the side cover's a little bit taller here. It might not be. I don't know. I think it's just about because this is red. The breather's definitely, top of the breather is definitely larger. The gas tank's about the same. Yeah, it just has a piece in a different spot. The exhaust is big. So we got first start by taking the exhaust off this thing and putting the header off that on here. So that way it'll clear the frame. We got to take the breather off because it won't clear the frame. That's what I was actually doing right here. I was torching that, melting it against the frame.
It come with these little things so you don't lose those.
Yeah, we're gonna go through all that. All right, Kaidyn. So pull the chain off that bike, Kaidyn, and go ahead and pull the chain off of it. And then set the motor off to the side.
Oh, let me just try to get this bolt off.
Listen, don't worry about the bolt. Pull the chain off of it, son. Go back and knock out the big sprocket first, or the little one, whatever you gotta do. That thing was sitting there leaking oil on it. If you knock it off the big sprocket, then you can get out the little sprocket.
It's like seeds.
Pretty basic. Take out the big sprocket.
Yeah, there you go.
Now.
So did you build those little pieces and all?
What?
These?
No, they were already on it.
Oh, okay.
It was just black. You just never noticed it.
I gotcha.
Okay, it's off.
All right, set the motor off to the side. I'm trying to build this thing where basically you can park it like this when you go places. I gotta get the seat recovered on, or I'm gonna buy a new seat for that.
You might have to put a bigger pad.
Yeah, but if you lean it like that, is it not going to get,
It'll be
the
fine.
paint will get messed up on
I
it?
ain't worried about all that.
Paint the rest of the
That's
bike,
me. I touched them up, yeah.
It looks like
I touched the forks up and on.
She
But
bad.
the whole goal was just to go through. I lowered the back of the bike down 4 inches. That way, because the back of the bike used to sit up here like about right there like that. I lowered it. That way the frame was more level. But I cut the bracket off. It needs to be mounted below here. And I cut the brake bracket off. I remounted them so that way I could get the brakes working on it. But I lowered the back of the bike. That way when you ride on it, it's more comfortable. And it's cool about, I wanted it where you could just park it like that. When we go to track, you can just lay it over on the side. Don't have to worry about kickstands. Don't have to worry about none of that. All right, let me take this. Took apart, get the exhaust off of it. We'll go from there. Since y'all know me and y'all know governors ain't gonna work, we're gonna go ahead. I want to keep the throttle linkage hooked up the same way. So I'm gonna see if there ain't a way I can't go in here and bypass the governor so we can still use this thing the way we want to use it, but use the throttle the way the throttle's hooked up, like I've had it hooked up on all of them. I've always had the throttle hooked up the same way. I've never had a governor bypassed on it, but I figure, heck, on this one right here, we're gonna bypass the governor. So I figure I'd show y'all this. So see, this piece right here is the governor, and there's a gear here with spring in it that pushes out, that makes it pull back on the other spring, the resistance. So I don't want to go in here and have to tear apart the whole motor to bypass all this. So if you just come in here and pull it, if you get it just right, you can take a hammer and tap it, and this comes out. Then I'm just going to cut this little right below this press piece right here where they crushed it. I'm going to cut it below. I'm going to stick this back in there and stick my arm back on it. That way it's still factory. I take my little bottle torch and I heat this right here, heat it up so I can get that plastic gear out of it. I'm gonna leave the pin in it because it's pressed in on the other side. I don't want to have an oil leak. I don't want to take that side of the cover off. Honestly, I'm gonna do this, and if it we're gonna run it, we're gonna ride it around. If we blow it up, we'll go get us another one, and we'll do the same thing. But I'll eventually put a camshaft and a rod in here. I'm gonna put a good rod and a flywheel on it. And when I do that, I'll come in here and I'll just cap off the top. I'll turn around and get rid of the oil pressure and the oil. The low oil level sensor right here, I'll get rid of all that. I'll go through, put a rod in, I'll put a cam in it, I'll put a flywheel on. Then we'll be able to turn this thing out like 9,000 RPMs with the right cam in it. But for now, we're just gonna get that little gear out of here, put the piece back in it, and that way we'll have full throttle all the time. We can wind it up there 5,500, 6,000 RPMs, and it'll do just fine for now. So I grinded my piece, got my old pieces out. So now we're gonna stick this back up in here and stick my arm back on it. So I got my pin back in and my clip on it. Now I gotta stick my arm back up here on it like I need to stick it up on here. Boom. Slide it down on there, put my bolt through it, and we'll be ready to go back, and I'll put the side cover back on it. All right, well, I got the gas tank back on it, and I want to show y'all this. So this right here, you loosen this nut up so this thing returns back and forth like it's supposed to. But I also went in here and I took the little spring. You see that spring right there? I took it off this cable here and I run it up here to this bolt, and that way it pulls the throttle back on it. Because the governor is what it does. It stays wide open, and when you take the governor out of it, it shuts the throttle off when it revs up, and then you have control here. Well, I'll put that spring on, that way it pulls the throttle back. That way when you rev it, you let off, it comes back like it's supposed to. I need to tighten that out. Like I got that a little bit too loose, looser than what I want. But let me go ahead and get it. I'll have it ready for you. So I bypassed this lower off and on, the one that goes in there. I hooked it up here to ours. Especially I just grounded it, hooked that up. I run my throttle cable up through here, fastened it there. So now I got to hook the other part up. We're ready to ride this thing. Motor is mounted. Chains on it, even though it ain't the best. So we're gonna ride it before we hit this wedding here in just a minute. We're gonna try to get this thing here, see how it does. We gotta do some work on it. We gotta get the throttle cable working the way we want it. Put a good clutch on. We got a go-kart clutch on, but it ain't the right clutch for it. And we gotta put a new chain on it. But it's a start. That throttle's real hard.
Yeah.
It's a start though. Look how cool it looks.
That's cool.
It's gonna be real cool. Like somebody rearing somebody else out here.